go. Fortenbaugh was red hot yesterday, people. He gave you 3 picks on the show yesterday. He was 3 for 3. Tannenbaum is ready to go today. My Uncle Seth Greenberg, no relation, is up early today. Robert Stanberry only is ready as baseball has begun. But we begin with something I got to tell you. I'm watching the game 50 years. I've never seen this happen before. Sweet 16, all Big Ten matchup. Iowa, Nebraska. Nebraska led pretty much the entire night, but with 5 minutes to go, Iowa's cut it to 3. And then it's Alvaro Folgueras. And all of a sudden, we're tied at 65. 2 minutes left. Bennett Sturts knocking down a 3. Iowa's got a 3-point lead, first lead of the game. A minute to go. Nebraska down by 6, but hanging in. Brendan Frager up and good. 3-point game. And then here's the moment. Iowa inbounding after the Nebraska 3. Why in the world is Folgueras so open behind the defense? I will tell you why he's so open. Because Nebraska only has 4 players on the floor. Let me repeat that. In a critical moment with their season on the line, Nebraska had 4 defenders on the floor. Iowa up 6 after the free throw, and that was basically all she wrote. Folgueras adding a little flourish at the finish. Iowa wins 77-71. They're in the Elite 8 for the first time since the late 1980s, but the overwhelming storyline is Nebraska having only 4 players on the floor when the game mattered most. Here was their coach, Fred Hoiberg, trying to explain it.
I've never been in a situation like that. I know they always count to make sure there's not 6. I don't know the rule on that with 4. But, yeah, I mean, again, it was a miscommunication, and, unfortunately it happened. But, that, as far as the rule, I've never been a part of anything like that.
Well, let's see if Seth Greenberg has ever been a part of anything like that. Joe is with me here all morning long. Seth, I mean, you coached this game forever, been around it forever. Can you help people understand how something like that might happen?
It's really hard to understand it, Greeny. I mean, you're coming out of a timeout, and you're looking at your team in the eye. You kind of actually know who's in the game. But, I went this morning and I called the guy that's officiated in multiple Final Fours. And here's the play. I mean, look on the right-hand side of the screen. You see Rick Mess, he's walking in like, am I in the game? Am I out of the game? I mean, like, this type of thing doesn't happen. You say, how does it happen? Well, here's the thing. There's no technical foul rule for that. It's the coach's responsibility. And it was just an incredibly well-played game, but it's the coach's responsibility. But in speaking to this official who's officiated multiple Final Four games, the officials are supposed to count prior to the inbounds to help prevent it from happening. And it is amazing to me, and I'm not putting it on the officials because it's the coach's responsibility. It's amazing to me in this game, a game that was so well played, it comes down to this play.
Let's make sure that we're being completely clear on what we're saying here. There is no rule that prevents them from having only 4 players on the floor. There is no rule that says the official is obligated to inform the coach he only has 4 players on the floor. But the official you spoke to, who is extremely well experienced, says most of the time the official will help the coach out and let him know, hey, you only have 4 guys out here. Am I reading that correctly?
Exactly. He's basically trying to help to prevent this from happening, because this is an embarrassment for the game. Think about that. The importance of this game. I mean, you're 1 game away if you win this game to the Final Four. It's a mishap on all parts, but it starts with Fred, and I'm sure he takes ownership. The game was a magnificently well-played game, well-coached game, well-executed game. But the thing we're going to remember, unfortunately, is it's hard to win when you're playing 5 versus 4. And, you guys have the same situation in football, when it's a special teams and maybe people line up the wrong number of people to come out on the field, you would think that someone would step in.
It is usually 1 extra person who runs out onto the field and all that, and they get a penalty for it. And there are, in football, to your point, Seth, because it's a little more chaotic out there and it's a little further away, and there are 11 rather than 5. There are specific assistants whose role is to count the guys and make sure, hey, coach, we don't have the right number of people out there. To the point here, again, as a longtime head coach yourself, there's no one whose job that is, right? There's no one who's sitting next to him saying, hey, Fred, you only have 4 players on the floor.
No, look, as a head coach, you take responsibility. I mean, your assistant coaches are involved in your timeouts and your huddles and talking to your team. But no, I mean, you're staring at your team. All right, you're giving them instructions on how we're going to play the next minute of this game. You would think that the people that you're talking to understand they're either in or out of the game. I'm not sure if they were making a substitution in that moment of time and they lost communication. But I've never been in a situation where I put out on the floor not enough guys. Maybe too many, but not enough guys. And I did this thing for 33 years. And speaking to this official, he basically said it rarely happens, but most times the official helps along the way by saying, hey, there's only 4 out. Let's go. Let's get another guy in the court.
I saw it happen once in the movie Hoosiers. Gene Hackman was the coach. This became, by the way, or has become, the Big Ten Invitational, right? So this was Nebraska, Iowa. Iowa advances. They will get Illinois. We'll show you a quick highlight a little later. Illinois upsetting Houston, as Joe told you they were going to. Give me a little wager someone might be looking at.
Low-scoring game. Total for this is 138.5 points. We're going to bet the under. Illinois doesn't foul all that much. And if you're going to get to 139 or more points in an NCAA tournament game, you're going to need some free throws. You know how many free throws Houston attempted last night against Illinois? 2. 2 free throws. So that's problem number 1 for a high-scoring game. 2 teams that played a slow tempo. Keep in mind with Illinois, very three-point dependent. Number 10 in the country in three-point attempts per game, and they've been white hot in the tournament shooting 40%. When that number regresses, the scoring will fall off. Low-scoring game.
Okay, so that's the look ahead there. Now we get to another of the games last night. Arizona is a lot of people's champ, including mine, and a lot of people, including me, felt awful good watching them play Arkansas last night. That Awaka, who came off the bench in this game and just dominated. Watch him fighting inside, put it up and hammer it down. Arizona with an early 5-point lead, and they're just getting started. The lead is 13. This is Awaka again. He was 6 for 10 from the floor. And then just for good measure, up by 20, one more time. Awaka, he would score 14. Arizona goes on to win it big. They move on to the Elite Eight for the first time in 11 years. And that man, Coach Cal, was impressed after the game.
Arizona is really good. And if they shoot the ball that way and do the things they did today, wow. Of all the matchups that I didn't want to see, it was this one. And I told my staff, this is a bad matchup. Let's figure out how we keep this thing in check.
Arizona is going to be a bad matchup, I think, for anybody they play. Seth, is Arizona right now the best team in the tournament?
I think they are. They've got 8 starters. Like, they can bring a Walk off the bench. They can bring a Del Orso off the bench. I mean, yesterday they went 60, 60, and 60. 60 from the field, 60 from the 3, and 60 points in the paint. Defensively, they got size and physicality on the perimeter. And up front, they absolutely just punish you in the paint. And when you can bring those guys like a Waka off the bench, who basically just carves out space and gobbles up rebounds like Pac-Man, this is the most dominating team left in the field. The physicality on the perimeter defensively, and then the physicality in the paint. They own the paint. 60 points in the paint. It was never a contest.
So it's the 1 versus the 2 in the West. Again, because of the magnitude of the Nebraska game, we sort of did the games a little bit out of order here. We'll show you Purdue a little later, but they advance, so it'll be the 1 and the 2. Arizona's a 6.5-point favorite in the West Regional Final against the Boilermakers. What do you think?
I would look to Arizona, but I wouldn't go crazy with this one. Game open 4. Last night, we immediately saw Wildcat money flood the market, knocked it up to 6.5. Purdue can defend the rim a little bit, which is where Arizona wants to live, so keep that in mind. But given the rebounding edge, given the turnover edge, given the way that Arizona's been playing and the way they can defend the three-pointer, which is what Purdue wants to do for part of their offense, I'd be looking to the Wildcats here. Temper the expectations, though.
All right, Seth, stay close by. We'll do the rest of the games as we continue, and I will quickly point out, as an alumni of a Big Ten institution, that there is a scenario in which the Big Ten gets all 4 teams. It is still alive. 5 of the remaining 12 teams are